My name is Steve Baker, and I've been playing the blues harmonica for 42 years now. Playing professionally since 1975, and I've been a consultant for the Hohner Company since 1987. So I've been involved in a lot of instrument developments that have taken place during that time.
I'm Joe Falisco. I like to think of myself as the world's greatest fan of the Hohner Marine Band harmonica. I'm a harmonica player, harmonica customizer, harmonica historian, and a harmonica educator.
My name is David Barrett. I've pretty much dedicated my life to the education of blues harmonica. I'm owner of School of Blues in San Jose, California. Started the harmonica masterclass workshops many moons ago. Write for Mel Bay Publications, and pretty much anything that has to do with blues harmonica education, as of late bluesharmonica.com, I'm involved in it.
The Marine Band diatonic harmonica can be thought of as the original iPod, a personal, portable musical device. Back before the iPod and before the Walkman and before transistor radios were available, if you wanted to have music in your life and you weren't able to sing or whistle, then you had almost certainly a Marine Band diatonic harmonica, which is certainly why at that point in time in the 1920s, millions and millions and millions were sold.
When it comes to blues harmonica education, it's really always started with the Marine Band harmonica. We're thinking about players like D. Ford Bailey, to players like Sonny Terry, to our original master of kind of the blues that we know of as of today, John Lee Williamson, to players like Sonny Boy and Little Walter. And we get our modern masters of blues harmonica. It all gets down to the classic Marine Band harmonica. And, you know, Joe's a great historian on the harmonica, and maybe Joe, you can tell us a little bit more about in detail the history of our instrument.
The Hohner Company introduced the Marine Band harmonica in the year 1896 to acknowledge the success that John Philip Sousa was having with the U.S. Army Marine Band, and the cover plate design, I believe, was patented and had some unique qualities about it. In particular, the openness of the cover plates. I believe that most of the diatonic cover plates previous had a more closed quality, whereas this has the vents in the back of the harmonica, and the back tended to be much more wide open. The result was a very much a handheld, easy to hold instrument that had a very raspy, bitey kind of natural tone to it. Hohner, as a company, committed much to having the best quality harmonicas available on the market, and that meant that a player could go to a music catalog, a maybe Sears and Roebuck sort of catalog. He could go to a nickel and dime store, or maybe even a grocery store at the turn of the last century, and find the Marine Band harmonica for sale. It was very, very popular, and it was consistent. The quality of playability and the quality of the in-tuneness of the harmonica remained, in my opinion, it was more consistent than the harmonicas that were available and sold by other manufacturers.
I think it's really important to say that this harmonica was not created for the blues. That was never really actually an intention at all. This was made as an instrument to play folk songs on. this was the kind of music that it was actually made for. And the way that it has subsequently been used is a development which was defined by the musicians who played it. It's also perhaps interesting to think about the fact that it was not really being sold in Europe at that time. It was an export model that was made for the US market. It was an instrument that was really made as a sort of everyman's instrument. It was something which you could play most simple tunes on, and that was the intention of the people who created it, designed it, was to make an instrument that was suitable for the kind of popular folk music of the day. The crucial discovery, which probably happened in the early years of the 20th century, was the fact that you could bend notes, which was not something which the makers of the instrument had ever actually considered. They thought that was a malfunction, whereas the American musicians who discovered that, and this may well have initially been black American musicians, but by no means exclusively so, they realized that this enormously changed the sound possibilities and also the note choices that the player had available. The quality that distinguishes the marine band type of harmonica from other kinds of harmonica like tremolo and octave instruments is that the marine band has in each channel 2 reeds, one blow reed and one draw reed, and they are in the same airstream. And the amazing thing is that it is possible by manipulating the throat shape for the player to modulate the pitch of the higher of these 2 notes. And the fact that you don't have to play major key folk music in the key that is stamped on the cover plate, but you can actually play in the dominant key. Instead of, you can play in the dominant key. And that really opened up a whole world of sound possibilities, and that's what made it possible to use the instrument in the music which later became the blues.
I think one of the wonderful things Steve's bringing up is the fact of the simplicity of design led to just an amazing ability of tonal possibilities. I feel the harmonica's greatest blessing is in its ability to present notes in so many different ways. And again, coming from the blues harmonica player's perspective, the ability to color these notes. For example, if I just play the single notes for the audience here, putting the throat tremolo in there, or using a tonguing technique that you've already heard so far in our time together, or adding the little flutter tongue at the end, adding little dip techniques from the bending that Steve was just talking about. That vocal expressiveness that the harmonica does so well, and then adding to the single note at the end some of those adjacent notes and the chords that Steve was talking about. Then you add the hands that Joe was talking about.
But a lot of it is the ability to play slides, glissandi. I think that is one of the things, because that makes the sound of the harmonica very like the human voice, comparable to the human voice in its flexibility to modulate notes. And a lot of that's very foreign to European music, because a lot of European musical instruments have fixed notes like the piano. And this is a different game. It's a totally different game because you can modulate the pitch in a slide, and that is really what I think has enabled the marine band type harmonica to have such a wide degree of popularity and to have been used in so many different kinds of music.
The harmonica and its chords, I think, are what make it appealing to everyone, because anybody that can breathe can play the harmonica, and anybody that can breathe with rhythm can actually make music. And some of the earliest recordings of the diatonic harmonica were of imitations, and one of the most common that was embraced and mastered by the black race and the white race was the harmonica train imitation, and that can be done on groups of holes of the harmonica, or as I like to say, chords, for this sort of sound.
And one of the neat things about playing those chords too is the harmonica is self-accompanying, right? You take this basic pattern that we all teach our brand new students, throw some melodies in there, and you essentially have your own accompaniment. Ability to move across chords and such. Amazing flexibility.
But as Joe was also saying, that it is the fact that you can play the chords and that anyone who can breathe can play music on it, which is really the reason for its initial appeal. Because if you just play the blow and draw chords, then you have music, basically. Fairly elementary music, but definitely music. And it's a basis upon which, as Joe so ably demonstrated, you can really expand. And this will be definitely a major part of the appeal of the instrument. It's one of the reasons why at least people take it up. It may not be the reason why they keep on playing it, because you can discover a whole lot of other stuff about it. But it's the starting point, without a doubt.